Level $0.000. Not low. 0. The account is empty 4 days before payday and you already know it will be empty, because it is always empty 4 days before payday. You are 22. This is level 0. Nobody names it that. Nobody puts a badge on it. But this is where almost everyone starts. At level 0, money is not a tool. Money is weather. It happens to you. A paycheck arrives and within 9 days it is gone. You check your balance the way people check the sky before deciding whether to bring an umbrella. Not to plan, just to brace. The first rule of level 0, you cannot budget your way out of a system that has no slack in it. Bills first. Everything else fights over what's left. And what's left is usually nothing. You watch people online talk about index funds and Roth IRAs the way you'd watch people discuss a country you've never visited. The problem was there was never a first dollar with nowhere else to go. A study on financial stress found that people living paycheck to paycheck show measurably reduced decision-making capacity, an effect researchers have compared to losing an entire night of sleep. Every single day, there is no single dramatic moment that ends level 0. One day the arithmetic in the grocery store just isn't there anymore, and you don't notice its absence until weeks later. Level 1, the first $1,000. Level 1, the $1,000. You are 23. You get a small bonus, $340. And instead of doing what you've always done with unexpected money, you leave it. You don't touch it for 6 weeks. Then you don't touch it for 6 months. It doesn't sound like freedom. It isn't. The car needs a part, $280. You pay it from the $1,000 instead of from a credit card. For the first time, an emergency resolves in an afternoon instead of 4 months of minimum payments. You don't feel triumphant. You feel something quieter. Relief that doesn't announce itself. You tell exactly one person, your older brother, why you turned down a spontaneous weekend trip. He shrugs and says that's fine, and the conversation moves on. A year later, the $1,000 has become $2,600. You've started to notice a strange new sensation whenever a bill arrives, curiosity instead of dread. The second rule, the first $1,000 is not about the money. It's about proving to yourself that the cycle can be broken once. Once is data. Once means it's possible. Level 2 debt-free. You start looking directly at it. You stop adding to it first. That's harder than it sounds. You slip twice in the first 3 months. You forgive yourself both times and keep going. Because self-flagellation has never once paid down a balance. You pay $310 a month against it. Automatically. The same way the debt itself used to arrive automatically. You pick the highest interest card first. Because the math doesn't care about motivation. 18 months later, the balance reads $0. You screenshot it and send it to nobody. Because nobody would understand what a 0 means when it used to mean something so different. For half a second, you brace for a number you know isn't there anymore. It takes about 2 months for that reflex to fully disappear. The third rule, debt is not just a number. It's a subscription you forgot you signed up for. Canceling it doesn't make you rich. It makes you finally able to start. Level 3, 3 to 6 months. Level 3, 3 to 6 months. You are 27. You've built an emergency fund that could cover 4 months of your actual expenses. $14,000. Earning 4.5%. Untouched. A round of layoffs hits your company. 12 people. You are not one of them. But for the first time, you notice you weren't afraid the way you would have been at level 0. Fear, at level 0, is constant and low-grade, humming under everything. At level 3, fear becomes conditional. A routine test comes back needing a follow-up. The old version of you would have calculated the copay before calculating the health question. This version of you doesn't. The fourth rule, an emergency fund doesn't just protect your money. It protects your decision-making. Every financial decision made from panic is worse than the same decision made from stability. Behavioral researchers call this decision fatigue under scarcity. Scarcity narrows attention toward the immediate at the expense of the future. At level 3, your attention is no longer being narrowed by anything. Level 4, the system. Level 4, the habit becomes a system. You are 29, $400 a month into a Roth IRA. Automated, invisible, gone before you can reconsider it. Another $300 a month into a taxable brokerage account on top of your employer's 401k match. You set a rule for yourself, quarterly only, on the first Sunday of the new quarter. With coffee, calmly, never at night, never after an argument. At the 2-year mark, the account holds $19,000. You put in about $16,800 yourself. The rest, $2,200, arrived without you doing anything at all. The fifth rule, the goal of this level isn't the dollar amount. It's proving that money can generate money without your hourly involvement. Once you've seen it happen once, you stop being able to unsee it. Level 5, Coast FI Level 5. Coast, you are 33. Your combined accounts cross $130,000. You run a projection just to see if you stopped contributing entirely right now and let the accounts sit untouched until 65 at a conservative 7% return. They would grow to just over $1 million on their own. You take a job with slightly lower pay and noticeably less stress. The fear that used to sit behind every career decision gets quieter. A recruiter calls with an offer that pays more but sounds miserable, and for the first time you say no without agonizing over it for a week first. The sixth rule, Coast FI is the first level where financial freedom stops being only about the future and starts changing decisions in the present. Friends your age are hitting a different kind of wall, where lifestyle has quietly expanded to match income. You notice a specific kind of relief that you're no longer required to keep pace. Level 6, Lean FI Level 6. Lean, you are 37. Your net worth crosses $310,000 at a 4% withdrawal rate. That's about $12,400 a year. Indefinitely. That's not enough to live on comfortably, but it's the first number that could theoretically support a very stripped down life if it had to. This is Lean FI. You negotiate a raise you wouldn't have asked for a year earlier. Your manager pushes back once, and you don't fold the way you would have at 27. You take a week off, unplanned, just because you can. Nothing at work falls apart in your absence, which surprises you a little, then stops surprising you. The seventh rule, every dollar of invested net worth is a small unit of no you didn't have before. Lean FI is the first level where you have enough units of no to occasionally use one. Level 7, Full FI Level 7. Full, you are 42. Net worth crosses $850,000 at 4%. That's roughly $34,000 a year. Forever. Combined with a paid-off car and a mortgage more than half gone, $34,000 a year covers your actual measured expenses, the ones you tracked honestly for 3 months. In a meeting where a client is unreasonable, you have a thought you've never had this clearly before. I don't actually have to be here. You tell exactly one person about this milestone. She asks if you're going to quit. You say no, not yet. And answering honestly doesn't require justification the way it once did. The eighth rule, financial independence isn't primarily about leaving your job. It's about the job no longer being able to leverage your fear against you. Level 8, Fat FI Level 8. Fat, you are 47. Net worth crosses $1 million at 4%. That's $84,000 a year, comfortably above your actual expenses. Room for the version of life you'd choose if money stopped being the constraint at all. Better travel, a nicer home, the ability to say yes to your kids' opportunities. You stop comparing prices on things that don't matter to you. You stop the specific kind of anxiety that used to live underneath even good financial news. You still work part-time now. Consulting. The goal was never work. The goal was never being forced to. The ninth rule, past a certain point, more money stops solving new problems. It just makes the problems you already solved feel more solved. The people who seem lightest are the ones who no longer treat every hour as something that has to justify itself financially. You realize you've slowly become one of them. Level 9, the machine Level 9. The machine that outlives the need for you. You are 55. Net worth crosses $3 million. A paid-off home. A diversified portfolio. 2 small rental properties managed without a second thought. And a consulting practice you could shut down tomorrow without financial consequence. You work more hours some months than you did at 30, but every hour now is chosen, not required. You understand the difference in your body before you understand it in your head. You set up a modest family trust. You think, briefly, about the version of you at 22 staring at a $0 balance. And you're not sure that version would recognize this one. The 10th rule, financial freedom was never one decision. It was the same small decision, made automatically, 33 years in a row, long after it stopped feeling like a decision at all. A younger colleague asks what the secret is. You tell them the truest thing you know. Nothing about any single year looked remarkable while it was happening. The final level, legacy. The final level, legacy. You are 61. Your children are grown. One of them asks you, almost offhand, over dinner, how you did it. You don't have a dramatic answer. You tell her the truth, that at 23 you left $340 alone for 6 weeks, and then 6 months, until leaving it alone became the default. You tell her about the 18 months paying down $310 a month. The quarterly coffee check-ins, the recruiter you said no to, the meeting where you realized you didn't have to be there. She writes some of it down. You don't know if she'll do it. You told her honestly anyway, the way someone told you once, years ago. There is a version of this story where you never leave $340 alone at 23. There is no dramatic villain in that other version, just the same paycheck, the same rent, repeated for 40 years instead of interrupted once. Financial freedom, at every level, was always the same shape, not a windfall, a small, boring, repeatable decision, protected from your own impatience for longer than felt reasonable. You are 61, and the account that started at $0 has become something that will outlive the need for you to manage it at all. Somewhere, right now, someone is 22 years old, staring at an empty checking account, doing arithmetic in a grocery store line, believing this is simply what their life is. It always starts at zero. What happens after that was never about the money. It was about what you were willing to leave alone before you needed to touch it again.